As you think about all that you have and will hear through your orientation, it may feel somewhat overwhelming. There are probably things you're excited about, worried about, and probably some things you don't know what to think about. All of those responses and more are totally normal. No matter what you are feeling, there are new challenges ahead. Some you know about, and some you probably don't even realize yet. The good news is that there is something you can do to give yourself an advantage, an edge, as you move forward. And it doesn't involve more studying or lifting heavier weights. In fact, just the opposite. It's a good night's sleep. And who doesn't love a good night's sleep? My name is Dr. Erica Bagley. I'm an associate professor of psychology at Muhlenberg College, and I've been studying how sleep affects adolescents and young adults for about 15 years. I became interested in teen sleep when I learned just about how much of a problem insufficient sleep was in this country. For example, a recent study showed that here in Pennsylvania, only about 22% of high school students report getting at least 8 hours of sleep a night. And while there's a range of what's considered sufficient in terms of sleep for teens, most research suggests that 8 hours per night is the minimum needed through the adolescent years. Getting those 8 hours a night is what can help you as you make the transition to a new building, engaging with a new group of people, new academic, and extracurricular challenges. Sleep is the ultimate resilience builder because it does so much to support our everyday, daytime functioning. I could tell you about all of the research and studies that have shown sleep can improve academic performance. Good sleep is also related to fewer behavior problems and risk taking. Sleep supports immune function and can help you fight off illness. Athletes who improve their sleep see improvements in their performance. Not only that, but poor sleep can predict anxiety and depression in teens and early adulthood. Maybe even more convincing than all this research, however, is your own personal experience. I bet it maps onto this research. You have likely experienced, maybe short term, sleep deprivation at some point in your life. Here's what I bet you experienced. Your ability to control your emotions was probably one of the first things to go. Maybe this was giggling uncontrollably or getting really angry at some tiny little thing. I bet your focus was also off. Even if the task was no more than to watch a movie, you likely got lost, maybe even dozed off between scenes. And I'm also willing to bet that your appetite was affected. You probably were eating more high sugar, high fat foods to keep yourself going. All right, all that said, taking all that experience into account, I'm going to throw out one more guess. That if somebody said in those moments of sleep deprivation that it would be time for an algebra lesson, you would strongly suggest back that this is probably not a good time for that. Your experience tells you that you are not at your best when you haven't gotten enough sleep, and it's certainly no time to learn. That's exactly why starting your school off well rested and finding ways to continue getting good sleep through the school year is so important. Setting yourself up for success in the upcoming school year looks like a lot of different things. Maybe it's a haircut or some new clothes. Maybe doing that summer reading that you may have put off. I'd like you to consider one more way to help set yourself up for success by focusing on your sleep. And the first step here is a real pleasure. Step one is simply to figure out how much sleep your body really wants. How do you do this? To the extent possible, don't set an alarm for a week. Go to bed when you want, well, not too late, and wake up when you want. See what your body takes when you give it the option. Keep track of how many hours you sleep per night and how you actually feel during the day. At the end of the week, average it out. And unless you're in the 1 to 2% of the population that really only needs a few hours of sleep per night, I bet your number is at least 7 or 8 hours. So now what do you do with this? You're going to have to figure out how you put sleep into your school day schedule. If you know you need to be out of the house at 6:45 in the morning and it takes you 45 minutes to get ready, then that means getting to bed by 10 o'clock to get those 8 hours. I want to note a couple things here. Napping does not take the place of getting solid hours of sleep. And in fact, naps of more than about 15 minutes or so can start to affect your normal sleep rhythms and make it harder to fall asleep the next night. For that matter, making up for sleep over the weekend will also mess with your normal sleep rhythms. Biologically, you can't really catch up like this, and it's going to make it really hard to fall asleep on a Sunday night. Once you've figured this out and figured out what your schedule should probably look like, it's a really good idea to start putting your plan into practice before school starts. You can't expect to go from sleeping from 1 a.m. to 9 or 10 to 10 to 6 a.m. overnight. You have to retrain your body. Your circadian rhythm, that inner clock, takes a couple days to move. It doesn't happen that quickly. Adrenaline might get you through the first day of school, but likely by Wednesday or lunchtime on Monday, you are going to be dragging. You need to start putting that plan into practice at least a week before school starts. And once school starts, keep track of how you're doing. You're going to find out that you've got new pressures and new responsibilities. And unfortunately, all of those tend to push sleep out. Even when people start a new year with good intentions, things get busy. We tend to add more to our schedules, and inevitably, sleep is the victim. Prioritizing sleep means letting it hold a spot in your schedule instead of letting it be the first thing to go when life gets busy. Finally, if getting a good night's sleep is a persistent issue for you, you may want to think about talking to a healthcare provider. It's just that important. Thanks for listening and have a great school year.